later when a parent or something calls them.
And that's not just narcotics.
And then, yes, with a lot of stuff in the schools here.
They have kids showing up for school that are intoxicated, which is a required offense.
So what happens then? You
Well-
call the parent or you call the police?
Well, the school is supposed to notify the school resource officer by law. Anything related to alcohol, drugs, any type of assault where there's an injury, or any sexual assault are mandatory reporting to the police. The staff does not follow that guideline. I can tell you 100% certainty.
What about
All the
theft?
schools or just because?
Certain schools don't want the statistics on their schools because every school files statistics with the state at the end of the year for any criminal incidents, and they don't want to report it.
So you can't do that.
Well, that's why when you get stats for certain schools,
And they're totally clean, you know something.
yeah, if they're totally clean,
Yeah.
I will tell you, like you said, assaults with injury, you're not gonna look at a high school and get no assaults. You have 1,000, 2,000 kids in one
Right.
spot,
Right.
you're gonna have a fight there.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have assault calls. When you see that and you don't see any calls, there's a problem. Now, I will say, stats for the last significant incident report I put out for last year, you'll see certain high schools with truancy. You'll see certain high schools that have this super high truancy. And then you'll see another high school with nothing. The Board of Supervisors questioned it. And they said, why is this high school, the truancy so high, yet this high school, it's nothing. It's not that it's not a problem in this high school, it's a problem in the other high school was not reporting it. So that's what you get.
So, statistics are what they are. You're only going to draw out of statistics what's put into the statistics. So that's where you have to be kind of careful. Most people make those assumptions about Sterling because Sterling has this mystique to it over about the last 10 years. When I first came up here in 1990 as a police officer, I lived in Sterling. I lived there for the first 6.5 years of my career. I coached Little League football there. Okay, I know the community very well. That's the reason when we subdivided the county up, I took Sterling, because I know the community. The same people are still living there. The same community members are there. Yes, there has been some changes in the ethnicity of the community, but you can still get buy-in from those new ethnicities.
And
There's still citizens that have a vested interest in the health of that community. We've been doing a lot of outreach with the Latino community. I'm actually using translators now for our classes so we can teach them to the Spanish community for burglary prevention. We did an internet safety, the very first one we did for the Spanish community was internet safety for parents. And we had a translator from the schools translate it as I taught it. And the parents wore headphones so they could get the translation as I was teaching. So we are making those strides to bring them into community sense. And the Latino community is a very strong community base already. So it's just a matter of getting that buy-in from that community.
Well, I may be naive. What is internet safety or whatever?
It's a class that we teach to parents that have school-age kids about what they need to be aware of as far as online or technology-based crimes against children. Things like online predators. We talk about the technology. We talk about cell phones.
Texting bad pictures to each other.
Yeah,
Themselves.
texting. It's about an hour-and-a-half long class for parents, and it's very, very matter-of-fact, and it's very, very
It makes you
graphic.
want to shut down all internet.
It does. I always tell the parents you're going to want to go home and cut all the clothes off and stuff. Don't, because this is all the bad. There's lots of good that goes along with that. So,
What happened spring break at Stonebridge? Fire?
I can't comment on that. I'm sorry.
There was a fire, right?
Yes, there was a fire.
No, they've already.
I know, we're not supposed to comment
Oh,
on it.
okay.
If you have questions about that, please contact the fire marshal's
No
office.
opinion.
Oh, okay.
They're the investigating body.
One thing I will say, I can't remember, was it Kathleen's graduating? It would be 5 years ago, she was graduating from Stonebridge, and she got money from her grandfather, and she wanted to buy her first ever Coach wallet. And she thought about it, bought it, put it in her car, went over to her boyfriend's house in Ashburn Farm, didn't lock her car, came back out, didn't realize till the next day when she went to Subway for lunch, her wallet was gone. So we called the Loudon Sheriff's Department, they came over to the house, this is now a day later, on a Sunday morning, and took a report, and thank God she bought this like lime green wallet that kind of stood out, you know, like, really, you spent that money on that. And loved that thing, and so he took a report, and she gave him a color swatch and the whole 9 yards. And this was, like I said, 5 years ago, and this was the petty theft where they were breaking into cars and taking wallets, but they were breaking into homes, this group of kids, and stealing TVs, computers, and whatnot.
Still ongoing.
So they, we got a call from a lady that was an FBI agent who lived over in the neighborhood, who was jogging, and found all of her library card, her driver's
All the
license,
contacts.
everything, where she was running. So we went over there and got that, and put that together, and 1 year later, no, I take that back, that was, yeah, 1 year late, well, it was November, I'm sorry, because this was right after graduation. In November, we were on vacation, and we got a phone call from the Long Sheriff's Department saying, we have your wallet.
Wow.
We went up to Leesburg and we got the wallet because we had made the report. Now, they had they had TVs, computers, I'm sure those reports were made with that, but there were some laptop computers and other things nobody ever reported. All sorts of GPSs and everything that people never reported because they didn't think they'd ever get it back. And she got her wallet back, and they found these kids. They went to, I guess Stonebridge High School must be in Sterling Park. They all went to Stonebridge High School. And
house
I
actually- the house
believe
that they
it
got
was
was actually
in that
Nashville.
townhouse, they found over $250,000 worth
Yep.
of goods.
Wow.
And the one kid was deported. But they had reports from individuals like us for a wallet.
But you're talking about something else too, and if you look at South Riding, they just caught a few kids down there in South Riding that were doing it. They were just going around South Riding, hooking up GPSs and just taking stuff out of cars. They had 120 items, and when they tried to figure out what reports they were attached to, I think they only had like 60 that they were attached to. So they had done all this crime, and people had not even reported it.
But if you don't know, like, I know my neighbor, all of us, like, I live in Rivercrest, there was a big slew event, I'm like, all right, they got my digital camera, but I can't remember exactly what it was, you know, so it's like, what am I gonna call in and say, my digital camera's gone?
Report
My
what you
small
know.
rig.
Yeah.
If you know it's an Olympus, it's a SLR, it had this kind of card in it, anything you can tell us that individualizes that item. Because in some of these
Yeah.
cases, if they're walking down the street and a patrol car's on random patrol and they see it, they're gonna go, oh, throw it in the bushes. And then a jogger might come along, somebody's dog gets loose and they chase him into the woods and they find, oh, there's a camera. Then they call us and we match, all of our reports are digital. Okay, we don't do anything on paper, well, we do, but not very much anymore on paper. So based on key phrases, Olympus, SLR, things like that, it'll search the database for any reports with those similar wording. And then we'll get a list of things that have common characteristics.
We even called, and the investigator had a meeting in South Riding and put it out to the entire public. If you had something stolen within the past 3 months, come to the sheriff's office at this time, tell us what you have, we probably have your stuff.
They had all the stuff laid out on tables for
Yeah.
people to come in and try to identify stuff, because we were trying to get this all back to the owners.
And
What happens to all the stuff that's never-
Oh, nothing, I think out
It
of
goes to
that,
surplus for sale.
out of that, I think, out of the 70 or 80 items that they were trying to find, I think 12 actually got placed.
What about, along the same lines, for theft in schools? Do you guys get a report from the schools if things have been stolen?
It's not a mandatory
So
report.
should we call you separately if something was stolen in case it were?
Yes, you should.
Okay. Because my son's very expensive iPod was stolen.
Yeah, and that is a rampant problem.
And it was his own fault because he didn't lock his PE locker because he couldn't remember the combination.
I think I read that report.
Yeah, you'll see that kind of rush
we
in
should
those
call it.
thefts.
Yes.
You'll
think
see
those
it
are
when
more
school
on it.
starts, with all the goodies
Oh,
the
yeah.
kids got during the summer, and then you'll see it right after Christmas. That's your two peak times for that.
No, I know
think
in
it was
Rivercrest, there was recently like a brand new Maxima was stolen from somebody's driveway and found in Great Falls, like in a ditch. Who did that? Like, how did they take it?
Well, there's lots of ways to steal cars. Somebody stole a car over in Lansdowne and
What's that?
drove all over Lansdowne, crashing into other
Yeah.
cars intentionally, driving around, just smashing the cars and backing up and going down the road and smashing into another car, and then drove through people's yards, drove through people's fences, and then when the car became stuck in a ditch, they just abandoned it.
Did you find this one?
No.
A lot
They've
of,
got leads on who it might be, but there's a lot, I mean, you'd be amazed, people have their spare key to their car in their glove box. They don't want to have to look for their keys in the morning, so they'll park their car in their garage and they'll just leave their keys in the center console because they're going in and out through their garage interior door.
Well, especially now the cars like that don't, the keyless ignition, it's so easy to do that, and then you realize it's there, so.
Yeah, so I mean, we have very little car theft here, but usually when they do it, it's a mess. Because it's not just the car disappears and gets chopped up someplace, it's usually kids that joyride it somewhere and we find it in a ditch, or we find it in a field, or we find it crashed into something, or something like that.
And a lot of it, you can just search on YouTube, how to break into a car, how to start a car, and it will tell you.
So in the real estate market, really, will be.
You can actually look online, and if you know what you're searching for, they can tell you the easiest way to break into a house.
I know that YouTube is terrible. One time we bought something that had one of those things on it, and we paid for it and everything, but the cashier couldn't take
Oh,
the
tag.
security off, and it was a paint one.
Yep.
And so my son was like, well, let's get it on YouTube and see if it's on there. It was.
Oh my
And we took
God.
it off and said, I mean, it was like, we had to go back to West Virginia, it was from West
How to remove it without
WVU.
breaking
So we didn't
the
want
back
to drive all the way back, so we got it off by looking at YouTube, step by step, and I'm like,
They
this
tell you,
is
they'll tell you
terrible.
how to make shoplifting bags to where the electronic equipment doesn't work when you go out. They'll tell you everything.
I know,
Really?
I mean,
do that.
we paid for it.
You have a question?
I have a question. When you sometimes walk around your neighborhood driving and you see an abandoned bike,
Okay.
you don't know, I've always looked at those and thought, okay, did a kid just leave it there, or did somebody steal it and leave it there? Are we supposed to bother call about those, or do we wait 2 days and then call?
What I tell communities is what we call the 5-day rule. If it stays there for more than 5 days, call us, because it's probably abandoned. Someone snatched it out of the yard, rode it someplace, and then hopped off of it and went and did whatever they did and didn't come back for it. Kids in the neighborhood usually within a couple days will come back and retrieve their stuff and take it back to their house. So usually, if you see it there with 5 days, it's probably abandoned at that point. And yeah, we will come down, we'll take a report, we'll stick it